Hello once again YouTube, Chris and I here bringing you some StarMade new in Fleetworks, and today we're going to be talking about the ship health point system and all of the fantastical things that does for me. Not so fantastic because that basically means I'm going to have to refit all of my ships, which means things have kind of slowed down. Not that they weren't already slowed down enough due to me being very busy. It's just now it's going to be even slower as I try and bring everything back up to the same level in terms of completeness and up-to-dateness. You know, all the ships on the forums that I've submitted so far are probably out of date now because of this new update, so we want to make sure that those are kept up to date with the changes to the game. As you can see, I have a cormorant here. I promise in a future video I will be doing a tour of the cormorant because it's actually finished and it is amazing. It has some incredible interior stuff going on, and I'll show you that in the future, but for the moment, you're gonna have to wait, I guess, because I got more important stuff to talk about in this video. So, what has changed? Of course, if you do not live under a rock, you know that StarMade now has armor systems for ships and structure systems for ships. Basically, the blocks of the ship are now taken into account when determining how absolutely effed up that ship is getting. How wrecked you are getting, or how wrecked that enemy ships are getting when you fight them, and it actually means something now. Your blocks mean something more than just, you know, shields or power. It means how well your ship survives. So, with that, it changes pretty much everything in terms of ship design, and it also kind of screws me over because I'm fairly positive most of my ships will be very slow. I have very minimal systems in a lot of these ships, and with this update, I now have very slow ships. And I think it has to do with the fact that some of them have quite a bit of armor, and a lot of these ships have lots of internal stuff, internal space. You know, all of these ships I tried to design with some sort of interior, as you can see here. I mean, I hardly have any room left, if any at all, on some ships, which is a big issue because, you know, I want to keep the interior, I want to keep all of that well and intact. With these ships, it's important to me that the interiors of these ships are fully fleshed out and awesome. I think that just adds a whole new level to the element of these ships, how their value and stuff like that. So, what am I going to have to do? Let's see. I have a whole list of stuff to talk about. So, in terms of EVE Online, ships have shields, armor, and structure, which, oddly enough, corresponds to the systems that we now have in StarMade. Shields, armor, and structure, which is great. I ran into a dilemma though, and I was thinking about this a while after the update rolled out. Do I want to also compare the ship's structure and armor from StarMade and EVE Online and make sure that they match in some sort of ratio among all my ships? And I determined, hell no. The reason I'm saying that is because the ship differences in terms of size is too much, even among ships that are supposed to be the same type of ship. All of the ships that you see before you, aside from the very small ones over there and the Dragoon, those are all frigates. All of them. And you'll notice that the Executioner, which is right here, I have all the color variants laid out. This is the Executioner. That's the size of the Executioner frigate. And this is the size of the Breacher frigate. And as you can tell, the Breacher is significantly larger. I believe the smallest ship in terms of interior space that is in the frigate size type is the Heron, because it has quite literally one room. There's just not enough interior room on that ship. In fact, it's completely unrealistic in terms of what they wanted to accomplish with the Heron. But it's the smallest ship I have, technically. And, like, if I updated this so that it had proper armor or proper structure, there would be tons of unused space, and it wouldn't really match. And the reason why is because this ship, right here, obviously takes a ton more thrusters in order to get it moving. And I wouldn't be surprised if the entire amount of thrusters inside this ship equaled the entire amount of systems on this ship. It's just not going to work in terms of, you know, trying to get all the ships to work and be, you know, balanced with each other in terms of structure and armor. So I said, screw it, I'm not going to do that. However, what I am going to try to do is completely fill these ships with systems. So real quick, let's go find a ship that has some empty space. And this looks like one of them, right? Yeah, there's tons of empty space in here, right? There's a whole bunch of areas where I could fill in more systems, right? And so here's the plan. First off, a lot of these ships are probably going to have more thrust. And more power after I put in that thrust, and more scanners to make up for the adjustments there, and more jump drives, and you know it's gonna slowly build up. But I'm gonna keep the ratios the same. You know, if a certain ship can only do 3% scanner ability, I'm gonna keep it 3% scanner ability or whatever. Hopefully you kind of understand that. So I'm going to try and fill them up with systems. And the reason I'm doing that is because weapons with this new update have also been improved, and now they kind of penetrate, at least the cannons and the beams. And in fact, missiles are kind of turning out to be the lower end of the spectrum there in terms of effectiveness because of how well AMS systems work. Now, my ships do not use AMS systems. The only ships that would use AMS systems in EVE Online are very large ships, like capital ships and battleships. Seem to be the only ships that really can support anti-missile systems, which is a little strange in terms of, you know, the overall, I guess, meta behind StarMade. But it's how EVE operates, and it kind of makes missiles, you know, just as good to use, just as good of an option as cannons and beams, because surprisingly, cannons and beams are really kick-ass right now. And I'm wondering if these tiny, tiny turrets that I have will actually be capable of completely wrecking another ship now, which is really awesome. So I'm hoping in the future to test the turret capabilities, well, the capabilities of the turrets that I design. Right now, the only turrets that I have are these light missile launchers, and these missiles are missile pulse, so they do really massive amounts of damage with long reload times. And this is available on the dock, but I have not updated it. These missile systems are big enough that I could put on some rail systems with them, so that's really cool. There's the actual rail version on the right of the ship, and on the left side is a static one. This is all just one structure, and you can copy paste it to your ship. And of course you probably already know that if you saw that video where I released that. So that's going to be updated soon. There are some other ships that I'm going to have to update and yada yada. So, here's the plan. I'm going to build my turrets to be as powerful as possible. They're going to have rails. All of the EVE Online ships use turrets, and pretty much none of them house built-in weapon systems. You know, there's no ships in EVE Online where you have to point in order to fire, except for bombs, but that's just because bombs are not guided. They're not really a built-in weapon system, they're just a built-in deploying mechanism for the bombs, which for some reason you need to aim. Anyway, so all of the ships on EVE Online will have turrets, and of course you'll be able to hard mount them to your ship, or you'll be able to attach them via rail, which will be really great. The new mechanics means they'll be more effective, which is awesome, and I really cannot wait to test that in the future, and I will be testing that in the future. We'll probably bring a destroyer and take it up against some frigates. We'll probably do some frigate-on-frigate action and all sorts of stuff like that. And yeah, that'll be really fun. The next step is to build the ship, right? And this is what I've been doing all along, but I want to clarify that every single ship I make is going to have the most bombastic, fantastic interior and detail that you will ever get, ever. Like, no one, hopefully, will compete. Real quick, I'm just going to show you the interior of the Cormorant here, and keep in mind that I can expand on this interior quite a bit. I'm going to give you a full tour in the future, but just look at this interior. This is a destroyer, and personally, this is what I feel like a destroyer should be like. This is, you know, the bunk room, this is the briefing hall. You know, there's just all sorts of crazy rooms, crazy structures. Look at this. This is fantastic. And this runs throughout the entire ship. So I want to do this for all of my ships. This level of interior design is currently only achieved on a few frigates and the Cormorant. The Dragoon has plenty of interior, but it's not to the same standard, and it kind of feels a little cheap because I used a lot of templates in order to build the hallways and the rooms. So I will be redoing the interior for the Dragoon, despite the fact that it's all done and ready. I just think I should redo it and, you know, make it even better. So there will be that to look forward to as well. I'll probably also be updating it with cool doors and rails and stuff like that, because the Cormorant over here has some really nice rail features as well, such as this room, which features an automatic ammo sorter. So like this machine comes around and it picks the ammo for all your guns. It doesn't actually do anything, but it looks really cool, and it's just a neat feature that you may actually find on a ship like this. So yeah. So yes, highest quality internal detail, and it'll be there for the RP value, and hopefully in the future when we get things like medical bays or, you know, life support, I can incorporate that into the ships, and you'll have actual rooms to visit if you need to take a look at your life support systems, or if you have wounded men, you can go to the medical bay. I'm going to, like I said, fill the ships as much as possible with systems, and I'm going to try and keep them all balanced with EVE Online stats. This will be impossible for some ships. I'm going to try my best, and that's pretty much all I can say at the moment. There will still be room for all of the ship modules and all the ship bonuses, and I'm going to try and start incorporating those into the ships soon. I haven't really been doing that, really, in terms of ship bonuses. Some of them I have, things like armor buffers and stuff like that, I have sort of been doing, especially on things like the Astero and the Emperor. They have some armor buffs inside them, but I'm going to try and do all the other ones, like, you know, internal advanced, what is it? God, I can't even recall what it is. There's like you know, boosts to power. Oh my god, I cannot think of what I am trying to say right now. Boosts to the capabilities of weapons. That's something that I haven't done with any of the ships yet. Some of these ships have like a 25% increase in damage done by specific weapons, so I'm going to start including those inside the internal structure of the ship, so, you know, you'll have more damage output with a very specific weapon type with a specific ship. And yeah, fully fit ships with loads of interior work on the level that has not been seen before. One thing I do want to do is add internal structure, and I sort of did this with the Dragoon. I'll go over there real quick. I want to add internal structure to the ships so that when you blow gigantic holes in them, you'll see all this awesome, you know, metal framework and the pipes and the truss work and scaffolding and stuff like that. I want that to be visible and exposed when you blow a hole in the ship. So I'm going to see if I can do that and incorporate that into the ships. It will probably add weight to the ships, but that will also mean that I have to add more systems, and it will bring me closer to filling up the ships. When it comes to even larger ships like cruisers, battle cruisers and all that, I'm going to be building internal structures for the ship systems. So like, all of the power systems are going to be inside a power reactor. I'm going to physically build the shell for a power reactor. If you blew apart the ship, you're going to see, you know, the physical representation of that out of, like, you know, regular hull blocks, and not just a bunch of, you know, power capacitors sitting around. So that'll be pretty interesting, and, you know, it'll help me fill up the ship with more stuff to look at when you blow it up. That's the dream, at least. I don't know how effective this is going to be. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about real quick. The Cormorant video is going to come sometime this week, and I'll be giving you a tour throughout this entire ship. It's fantastic. It's really great. I love the way it looks. I'm going to start doing my engines like this from now on, just because it looks like they're on, and it looks so much more fantastic than, for example, well, not that, but something like that. These engines aren't really that great, and it probably would just look so much better if the entire thing was lit up with ice, and that, you know, cool technique that I can achieve with the ice. So there's that. It will be released next Sunday, so you guys will be able to get it, but it will not be updated for the structure and armor hit point update. So, you know, if you want it, go ahead, but don't be unimpressed when it comes out ill-equipped for this latest update. The Jackdaw and a new Caracal model have been put into EVE Online. I have both of those ready to show you, and I'll be doing that in another video later this week. Turns out there's a whole bunch of new ship models coming to EVE Online, so some of the ships that I've already finished, things like the Probe, those are going to get redone. So the Probe looks like is getting redone completely, and there are just new models coming my way. So that'll be fun to look at, and I'll probably feature those in videos as well. Lastly, I just want to say that I've been streaming a buttload recently. I'm at least trying to. I play about 2 hours every time I stream, and I am currently playing StarMade. I'm doing random builds in StarMade, some random spaceships, just entirely non-EVE related spaceships most of the time, although sometimes I touch up on some EVE ships. And I also do Fallout New Vegas because Fallout 4 was announced and I got really hyped for that. So I decided to play Fallout New Vegas. I'm going to be posting stream highlights to the channel, and you'll be seeing those pop up now and then. On top of that, the Steam Summer Sale is just about over as of today, or when I'm recording this, and I bought literally 22 games, plus the DLC for Skyrim that I never had. So I will probably be playing other games like, the Batman Arkham series, and some Assassin's Creed Rogue, and Mountain Blade Warband. I'll be playing all of these on stream. The plan is that if it's a very long game and it's not a StarMade related thing or a science fiction related thing or a spaceship related thing, then it's just going to be put on a stream and I'm going to highlight it on the channel, and you guys won't have to watch 20-minute episodes that progress at the rate of a snail. So hopefully that's entertaining for you guys, and be on the lookout for that. Those will start coming out next week, hopefully. If it doesn't, you have every right to be angry at me, because I really need to get my shit together and start posting regular content. So, that's it for now. I'll be showing you some weapons in the future. I'll be showing you the Cormorant and all of that lovely stuff I mentioned in the past. And yeah, it's fun, it's great, I'm super excited. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for watching, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you all next time.